Hey, I hope you guys are having a good one. This is your video for mixed numbers and improper fractions. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. We're going to go through this together in class, but in case you've missed class or need to review it, or you're a parent trying to figure out what your kid's doing, here you go. So let's go through some vocabulary terms first. So a proper fraction is a fraction where the numerator is less than the denominator. So this is what we're used to. That means the top number has a smaller value than the bottom number. An improper fraction is a fraction where the numerator is equal to or greater than the denominator. So the top number is the same or greater than the bottom number. I hate the fact that they're called improper fractions just because they're often really easy to use. Wish they changed the name of them, but that's beyond my scope as a teacher. So quick FYI, improper doesn't mean bad. That's really the only thing I can add there. And a mixed number is a sum of a whole number and a fraction. So basically we have a whole number, and then behind that we're going to have some sort of fraction. Usually with the mixed number, actually always with a mixed number, you're going to have a number and then you're going to have a proper fraction behind it. I've never really seen it displayed correctly with an improper fraction. All right. So today we're going to kind of go between improper fractions and mixed numbers. So what we're going to do is start by going over the procedure, and then we're going to look at some examples. So first procedure is rewriting improper fractions as mixed numbers. So in this case, we're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. The quotient is the whole number and the mixed number. Rewrite the remainder as the numerator over the original denominator. This is a fraction in the mixed number. So sometimes you might have to reduce that fraction depending on how it works out, but that's the basic procedure. All right, the second procedure we're going to go through in examples is rewriting mixed numbers as improper fraction. This time we're going to multiply the whole number by the denominator, and then we're going to add the numerator to the product. So we're going to add whatever we get in step one to whatever the numerator is. And that will give us our new numerator in the improper fraction. Then we're going to write the number as the numerator and keep the original denominator as the denominator of the improper fraction. So a lot of numerator, denominator, you might be thinking, yeah, that's great. Show me how it works. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, our first example is to change the improper fraction 14/4 to a mixed number. We know it's an improper fraction because the numerator is greater than the denominator. So how we're going to do that? So what we're going to do is we're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. So we're going to go 4. Then we're going to put that on the outside of the house, and we're going to put 14 on the inside of the house. So how many times does 4 go into 14? Well, I know 4 goes into itself once, it goes into 8 twice, it goes into 12 3 times. So I'm going to put a 3 there. So 3 times 4 is 12, right? Then that means I have 2 left over. So I have 3R2. Now 3 is going to be the number in front, right? So 3 is going to be the number, and then 2 is going to be the numerator of our new fraction. So it's going to be the numerator, the top number of the new fraction. Now that's great, but if you look at that, we know now that we can reduce 2/4 to 1/2 because 2 goes into 2 once and 4 twice. So really what we have is 3 1/2. So we could write that as 14/4 equals 3 1/2. All right, so there you go. That's 14/4 written as a mixed number. All right, let's do that same thing again, but this time we're going to use different numbers. So this time we have 13/2. So once again, the numerator, the top number is going to be inside of the house. We want to see how many times the denominator will go into the numerator. So the denominator is going to go on the outside. So I know, 13 is an odd number, so I know 2 is not going to go into it evenly. Okay, so 2 times 6 is 12, so I think 6 is the number we want to use. 2 times 6 is 12, right? So we have 1 left over, so we have 6R1. So once again, 6 is going to be the number that goes on. That's our number component. And then 1, right, is our new numerator, and that's going to be placed over the old denominator, which was 2. So we have 6.5. So we could say now that 13/2 equals 6 and a half. Those are equivalent numbers, just displayed a different way. So improper fraction, mixed number. They equal the same thing. Okay, let's flip the script. Let's go ahead and go from a mixed number to an improper fraction. Okay, I'm a fan of improper fractions, so this is one I think is actually more valuable. I think they're easier to use, especially when it comes to multiplying basically any operations with a fraction. It's way easier if you have an improper fraction than a mixed number because you usually have to go this direction. Okay, so in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to take the number in front. So we're going to take the actual whole number and then we're going to multiply it by the denominator. So I'm going to do 2 times 4, right? And then I'm going to add that to the current numerator. So 2 times 4 plus 3. And then it's all over the old denominator. Okay, so what that's 2 times 4 mean is, remember, really, if we had 4 fourths, that equals a whole, right? So what we have is 4 fourths twice. So we're basically just factoring that in right now. So 2 times 4. Now we have to follow order of operations. So 2 times 4 is 8, right? Then we have 8 plus 3 over 4. 8 plus 3 is 11, right? So we have 11 fourths. So we could say that 2 and 3 fourths equals 11 fourths. Once again, these are the same thing, just displayed slightly differently. All right, let's try one more of those. So remember what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the whole number by the denominator, right? So that'd be 5 times 3, and then we're going to add that to whatever the current numerator is. In this case, it's 1, and that's still going to be divided by the old denominator. So remember, the reason we're multiplying this by 5 is that if we had 5 wholes, each one of those wholes would have 3/3 in it. So 5 times 3 is 15. We have 15 plus 1. So simplify it one step further. We have 16 thirds, 16 thirds. All right, now, which means we could state that 5 and 1/3 is the same as 16 thirds. All right, well, that's a quick overrun of converting mixed numbers to improper fractions and improper fractions to mixed numbers. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or stop by during office hours.